Shalom Chaverim, welcome back to Sichos HaRan. Today we're going to be looking at Sicha number 6 in Sichos HaRan. Before we do that, I want to do just a little bit of chazer, a little review, because it ties in nicely, I think, to the last two Sichos that we reviewed. If you'll recall, in Sicha number 4, we were talking about wealth, and about wealth being potentially associated with the Sitra Chara, with the other side. And then in Sicha number 5, we talked about one of the big things that that Rabbi Nachman likes to caution us against, which is the dangers of philosophy and secular wisdom, which are also connected in certain ways to the Sitra Chara. And so today, in Sicha number 6, we're going to get a little bit more gloss on that idea, and we're going to learn specifically how the other side, how the Yetzer Hara in particular, how it operates. And this is a really, really great insight for us to keep in mind as we go through our day. I'm going to read the whole thing because it's not that long, and then we'll back up and unpack it a little bit, just like we did with Sicha number 2. It says, the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, is like a prankster running through a crowd, showing his tightly closed hand. No one knows what he is holding. He goes up to each one and asks, "What do you suppose I have in my hand?" Each one imagines that the closed hand contains just what he desires the most. They all hurry and run after the prankster, and then, when he has tricked them all into following him, he opens his hand, and it is completely empty. The same is true of the evil inclination. He fools the world, tricking it into following him. All men think that his hand contains what they desire. In the end, he opens his hand. There is nothing in it, and no desire is ever fulfilled. Worldly pleasures are like sunbeams in a dark room. They may actually seem solid, but he who tries to grasp a sunbeam finds nothing in his hand. The same is true of all worldly desires. So, Rabbi Nachman is continuing on this theme of avoiding getting too connected to the secular or physical natural world, and to keep our eyes on the prize, so to speak, our focus on Hashem. And he's telling us that the way the evil inclination works is that it's like a trickster. It comes up to you and it says, "What do you think I have in my hand?" And we're built as human beings so that when we are confronted with that question, we assume that the hand must contain whatever it is that we most desire in the world. So if we really want some extra money, we're going to assume there's money in there. If we really want some extra free time, we're going to assume that's what's in the hand. And every time, the Yetzer Hara is going to open up that hand, and we're going to find that there's nothing in it at all. And I love this mashal at the end. This is a beautiful metaphor at the end about sunbeams in a dark room. I mean, that's one of the things about Rabbi Nachman that's just so beautiful, because he really was a storyteller at heart. And what he does is he creates these amazing sort of visual landscapes for us. And you can picture that. You can picture a sunbeam coming into a dark room, and you reach for that sunbeam, and it looks like something you can hold, but when you go to grab it, there's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. And he says this is the way worldly desires are. They're enticing, and they look solid. They look real. But when you go to grasp them, there's nothing actually there. So this would include, as we talked about last time, secular philosophy, right? Secular philosophy looks like it might contain some emes, some truth. It looks like there might be something there for you to really grab onto and to build upon as a foundation. But when you really get into it, when you really try to grab what the secular philosophers are saying, you find out that there really isn't anything there at all, and that it's not anything that you could build upon, because it's not real. At the end of the day, it's just not real. The same goes with wealth. A lot of times we might think, if we just had more money, then everything would be easier, and maybe I'd have more time for Torah study. Maybe I'd have more time for to spend with my family. But what we find a lot of times is that even when we are making more money, when we have more money coming in, we don't actually end up with more time for those things. We just end up spending more time making more money, and it's kind of a dog chasing its tail. So the Yetzer Hara obviously is something that we all have within us. It's that evil inclination, and it's a very tricky piece of our soul, and it is part of our soul. It's not, the evil inclination is not some external devil, right? It's a part of us. It's a part of our psyche, a part of our neshama that gives us this false hope sometimes. And the reason it's there, the reason that Hashem gave us that Yetzer Hara, is so that we can choose not to be tricked by its game, so that we can choose avodas Hashem, service of our Creator, as opposed to service of worldly desires, right? So that's Sicha number 6. Next time, we're going to get into Sicha number 7, which is where Rabbi Nachman introduces a foundational idea, just a mamish, super important idea in Breslov thinking, which is how we should pray, and he's going to give us some tips on his bodidus, which is one of Rabbi Nachman's great Chiddushim, one of his great new insights about prayer. So we have that to look forward to. Thanks for tuning in. Be well.